Hey guys, welcome to lesson 7, using color to enhance signage. I'm going to help you get this going and getting started on this because it can be a little difficult sometimes. So I'm starting on page 188 of the book, and what they tell you to do is kind of open the file and save it. So I have mine saved already. I'll just go into Save As. I'll save this on my desktop and I'll save it as Park Sign and click OK. So now we have it saved. So that would be the first step. And then they kind of talk about exploring the color modes and the difference between CMYK and RGB. So you can see right now, if I click on a shape, we're in CMYK mode. You see the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. There are other options here for RGB, red, green, and blue, which are more web-based colors, which you don't want to work on for this project. I believe that this is just for practicing print. We're going to be using CMYK. We'll be typing in some of the percentages for these colors. So we're just going to stick with CMYK. But if you are going to be working on screen, you can you would want to use RGB, and you can see when you select a new file, you can go into the color mode and select from CMYK or RGB, and that will help you to just get your document set up correct the first time when you go around, and then you can just start working from there. So anyway, so the first thing that they tell you to do is click on the red shape here, and they want you to change it to a color. So you notice when you click on it, this little swatch also changes color. So say if I clicked on my blue tree, you see it changes to blue. So we'll click on my red shape, and then down here we have a whole list of saved colors in the swatch palette. Some of these swatches came with this project, so you can see that they're saved with a name: Sign BG, Aqua, Dark Green. Sign BG is the swatch that they are telling you to apply in your first step. So you're going to apply this existing color. So you'll select that. So then the next thing they want you to do is click on this second shape above the blue, which would be on page 191, and you see it's white with a tan border. So this is just showing you how to create a custom color. So what you would want to do is you go over to your color panel here, and you can go to this drop down menu, and you would want to click show options, but we already have that. So you might, when you click on it, you might see this. And then if you want to go into selecting different colors, show options, and then it'll show you the different values that you have. And it says choose light green. So I chose a light green here. On the next page, they tell you that you can manually type in the percentages that you would want, and that's fairly easy. You just go in and you can type them in here. So they tell you 42, 0, and I'm just hitting tab to get to the next box. So click tab and then 62, and then that one's 0. Okay, so we have our color here. Now, you notice that this, I want this in my toolbar. There we go. So I could just pull it out right there and hide it when I need to. Okay, so now we want to create a swatch from this. We'll open up our swatches palette, and you can see that here. And we have this green box still selected, so here's our green swatch. Now if we want to create a swatch, you're going to go down while this is still selected, and you'll click the new swatch icon. We'll title that light green. And you want to deselect add to my library because we're not really we haven't learned about that yet, so we'll just deselect that and we'll click OK. And you can see that it's added the swatch right here. Okay, then what we want to do is we'll select this center tree, the third white tree from the left. Oh, I'm sorry, on here. third way tree from the left. And you want to change the tree to, you want to apply the existing colors that you have. So what we're going to do is we'll select the green. And then over here you can see there's a couple places to do this. You can either go here and select the stroke and click none, or we'll click undo. Back in your swatches palette, you can click here and click none. 2 ways to do that. So you want to remove the stroke. Let's see. Say you want to create a copy of the swatch. So you have the swatch selected, and then you'll go in and you can click the new swatch again, and we'll title this orange. And then here you can change the you can adjust the percentages and click OK. And now that changed it to orange because I was still selected on that shape. But we want that to be green, so we'll just leave that. Okay. Now we want to click on this next or this next bar, and we're going to change it to the orange color that we just created. So say for instance we want to edit the swatch. You can edit it if you need to. So we'll try this with the Sign BG swatch. So what we're going to do is double click, and then it'll pop up, and we'll change this K value to 0, which I guess it already was. I think that's because I had edited this before. I was working on this file before. So you'll see I might have some of these swatches already created, but bear with me. Actually, let's see. Oh, I should also mention, we have 2 ways to view our swatches. So we have this little grid here like we have, or a list. Okay, so I was clicked on the wrong one. Okay, let's see, where's Sign BG? Okay, here we go. Oops. See what I did there? I was still selected on my rectangle, so it changed it. So make sure you're not selected on anything, and then you'll double click on your swatch. And then you can change this to 0 and click OK. Now you'll notice though that didn't change this tan color. That's because this is just a swatch. It's not a global swatch, which we will learn about in a few minutes here. But we just applied this swatch. This would be like applying any of these swatches. If we applied pink to this swatch, or to this shape, the pink swatch to this shape, and then we go back in and we change this to purple, it's not going to change this. We'll undo. But a global swatch will be basically like a live swatch. So if you change, if you had applied it to any shape and then you changed it in your swatches palette, it will change over here. And we'll go over how to do that. So we're going to select the bar above the orange bar, and then we're going to create a new swatch. And I already created this swatch before, so I'm just going to put another N just so that, just to differentiate the two. For a screen swatch, I'll call it. How about that? And we will select global. And now we want to put in our values. So it would be 91, 49, 49. And we don't want it to add it to the library, and then we'll click OK. We'll change back to our view here, and you can see it added it up here. So then all we have to do is just drag it down to the end. So here was my 4-screen swatch, I believe, that I created before. Oh, it was dark green. Aqua dark green. So let me just change the name. It didn't have that. Okay, cool. Okay. So that was the 4-screen swatch. So now we have that applied. So we'll click this tree, the second tree from the left, and we'll apply the 4-screen swatch. And we'll change the stroke to 0 to nothing. So, oops. Okay. Now we will go to our swatches panel again, double click on our 4-screen, and we'll change the black value to 24. Now you can see when I click preview, both of these changed. So you'll see that this is creating a global swatch. So if I change that, the value on both will change. Okay, so you'll see that that's live. So for instance, say that I changed this to pink and I click preview. It'll change it to pink on both. I could have this swatch applied all over the place and it will change the global swatch all over. So that's helpful. Another helpful thing to use is the color picker, and this will kind of help you differentiate between some tints and shades. So you can click this bottom white bar, and then we'll go over to our swatch and we'll double click, and that will bring up the color picker. And now you can drag and you'll see the color shifting, but it's really based on just one color, this green color. And so you can see the more, the darker it gets, it has a little more shading and a little lighter tint. So you can adjust that there. Let's see, it says you to drag. You notice the adjustment in the brightness. And then you can also have the option to just write in your CMYK here. So I guess they just want you to test it out. So then we'll type in our percentages. And then we'll click OK. And so that bottom bar is brown now. And then what we're going to do is, again, create a new swatch, label it dark brown. And let's see, we want it to be global, yes. And we don't want to add it to the library, and then we click OK. And then there you have some new swatches added. So if you need help with the next part, I encourage you to watch the next video. I'll sum it up for this part just so you can get that introduction. And then if you are continuing on with the lesson, you can click on the next video.